Hello, I'm Regina with AG Designs, and tonight we're going to embroider. I have 5 robes total. I've done one already, so I have 4 more to go, but we're going to embroider some robes tonight. So just to show you what I've done already, this is one of the robes. I've already embroidered the name on it, and before or yesterday I did a test stitch out because I changed the font just to see how I liked that better, and I loved it. So we will be using this font on all of the robes tonight. And again, I have 4 robes to do tonight, but I'll just show you my process for one. That'll be the same process for them all. And then at the very end, I will come back and show you all 4 that has been stitched tonight. All right, so let's get started. So for my supplies, I will be placing some water soluble paper on top, just so that the stitches won't sink into the fabric, because this is very plush. So I want the letters, to stand up and hold firm. I also will be using tearaway stabilizer underneath. I like to double it when it comes down to these robes. Why? I don't know. It's just my security of making sure that nothing slips and that the stitches really hold. So I might be overdoing it, but that's just my process. Okay, so do it how you feel you should do it. I will also be using my mighty hoops. The 5x5 is what I'm going to use, and I will use that with the assistance of my hooping station and the fixture. So this fixture, you can apply it to your hooping station, and therefore you could place it on the left or the right side of the chest so that you can target that specific area and then hoop it really easy. So that's what we're going to do. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm just going to place this on here. I already know on the hoop master here what number to put it on. So I want to make sure that on the left side of the chest, in this circle here, the number 31 appears. So that's where I'm going to place mine. Now, you might want yours higher or lower. So, you can place yours wherever you like. Now, I've also pre-measured down how far from the shoulder down to where I want the name to appear. So I'm coming down 9 inches from the shoulder blade, so that it fits nicely, in the breast area on the left side. So what I do is, because of course these are bigger than the hooping station itself, I wrap it around to where I can get at least the top part of the right shoulder onto the station, so I know everything is in line, right? So let me go ahead and put my get my station here ready. I'm just gonna put my stabilizer underneath. And again, if you have not, or if you've thought about using mighty hoops or, purchasing them, but, haven't done so, I will tell you, if you can, do it. It's so much easier than using the standard hoops that comes with these machines. These are magnetic. The other hoops, of course, you have to apply them and screw and all that kind of stuff, and it just takes too much time. And then it leaves all the big imprint circle indentions and stuff like that. I don't like that. So if you can, I just advise you to go ahead and get mighty hoops if you can. All right, so I put my stabilizer on the bottom portion of the hoop here. So I'm going to go ahead and put my robe on. So I'm just going to go around the back just to get the full robe kind of draped on here, so I'll know the shoulders and all of that are, you know, are on the hoop, and that it's hanging from the shoulders. So I'm measuring the top. Well, I won't say measuring, but when I put it on the hooping station, I make sure that I can feel the top seam of the shoulder on the top of the Hoopmaster shoulder on this fixture here. Okay, and then I'm just going to pull it through some so that I can get it lined up accurately. So it's kind of like you're putting a shirt on your mannequin or yourself, right? So, but just making sure everything is lined up like it should. And then what I do, because I know I have it in place with my number 31, I also, like I said, I want it to come down at least 9 inches from the shoulder blade down. And I will measure. You could use chalk, dots, whatever you have, piece of tape, because I want to do a placement, right? So when I go to do my trace, I will use my test that I stitched out last night, and I'll place it because I'll make sure that that's the right area that I wanted to stitch in. So I'm just going to measure down 9 inches from the shoulder, and then I just take my finger, because it's so plush, and I just take my nail and run across it so that it just puts a little line so I can see it, because of the way this fabric is. Otherwise, like I said, you could use some tape or some stickers or whatever. Okay, then I'm going to apply the top part of the muddy hoop on. So I'm just going to sit it in here so that it aligns itself perfectly, and then push down on the fabric and it's hooked. Now we're going to go ahead and add this to the machine. I have already brought in the name that I want to embroider. I just need to change the coloring on it so it knows which thread to pull. We'll let this go ahead and start, and then I will take my next one and start hooping. So if you know that you'll use certain mighty hoops more often than not, then I say at least have 2 to 3 of them. So right now we have two of this size and then 1 of other sizes. But wanted to make sure, because of some of the smaller jobs that we have done with names and have had more than, you know, 5 shirts or so to do, this has come in handy having the second one, because as this one is embroidering, now we can go ahead and get the second one started. So you have your little assembly line going. All right. So I'm going to hook this onto the machine and making sure that there is nothing underneath, meaning the fabric is not underneath here when I hoop, because I don't want it to stitch together. I have done that many a times with sweatshirts and shirts. It is not fun. So I just pull away, right, from the sides, and then I come underneath it to do my fill to make sure that nothing is underneath. And you can see it's kind of a round. So, and then from the back, I just tuck it on the back, because these have hoodies on them, right? So I just want to make sure that the hood does not get caught as well. So now what I'm going to do is put my placement where I had my nail going across, and that's the area that when I do my trace, that's where I want it to stitch. So I'm just going to move the name up a little bit, because I can already see that I need it to be a little higher. Okay, let me do my color. This is going to be a lavender color, so I've added my lavender thread to my number 3. I don't normally keep lavender out. I have my basic colors that I normally have already programmed. So whenever you're doing a switch out with colors, instead of going back through the machine and trying to program and all that, just cut the thread from one spool, tie it together and bring it through. And then you'll use that number for your new color. So the color that I previously had on that is my blue, but I'm going to use lavender for this. So it is my number 3 spool. So I'm just going to select blue from here because I know my number 3 is lavender that I've put on. And then I'll save it. And now I want to do a trace. I'm going to do it one more time. I might can bring it down just a little bit. Okay. Okay, that is good. And then I'm going to lay down a piece of the solvay, just so, like I said, once it starts to stitch, I don't want the stitches to get buried into the plushness. So you can actually hoop this as well when you're hooping your piece, or even taping it down so that it's on, it stays on and does not bunch up as it starts to stitch. I know it's a big no that you want to always leave your fingers clear from up underneath the needles while it's stitching, but I like to make sure that it stays smooth, so I do tend to hold it down a little bit on the side where my fingers are away from the needles. So like I said, you could put some tape down, and maybe I'll tape it. Actually, that's what I'll do. Let me see if I have the tape down here. Okay, I'm just going to use a little bit of this tape to tape the sides so that I don't have to hold it. Because I didn't hoop it in with, because I like to make sure I can do my placement, and I don't want to waste a lot of it by putting a whole sheet down and then not using it. But of course, you know, I guess I could cut a piece that will go underneath here while it's hooped, and then I can always use the excess on the next ones. But this seems to work for me. So all right, so since I have that ready, we're going to go ahead and let this start stitching out. So let me get it ready and turn the embroidery mode on. And again, this is a BAI Vision V22 15 spool head. All right, let's start. So while that's going, we're going to go ahead and get the next one ready. I've already cut out my stabilizer. I save my extra stabilizer. And even when I use this, I cut it off and I save it because you can piece it together for other little small projects that you're doing too. So waste not, want not. And it's looking really good. I just gave my salvie some slack because it was a little too tight. I have this on nice and even. I'll just take my measuring tape, come down 9 inches from the top shoulder, place my marking with my fingernail. That one's a little hard to see, so I'm going to put some tape on it. And this one is done. You can use masking tape, painter's tape. Down here, I just have some sublimation tape, so that's what we're going to use. So let me just mark it again. And because it's just a name, you know, you may want to hoop both of them so you can just keep your assembly running smoothly if you're pressed for time or what have you. You don't want to rush and do these because you want to make sure that you get it accurately or have it accurately hooped so that, you know, you don't have mistakes, because then you're kind of wasting your product. And if you know me, I cannot stand wasting product. But we'll take this off so you can see. I'll end up cleaning this up. So what I normally do is, when I'm using this, and now you can, and this is water soluble, so meaning you can sprinkle some water on it and it'll disintegrate. I don't like doing it, only because I've done it with a sweatshirt and it just made the area feel kind of hard. So of course I will pull off, you know, all the excess, and then I'll end up going in and just pulling the extra off, you know, in between. And then if I have to use the tweezers to get, you know, the intricate pieces out in between the letters, then I might even use my embroidery scissors here, these, just to get a little closer and cut some of the fluff down in between the letters. Because I noticed last night when I was pulling off, you know, the soluble and cleaning it up, and I had to put my little tweezers in between to get the rest of the little plastic pieces out, you know, it fluffs up some of the extra material. And I didn't like how the fuzzy look was coming in through the letters, so I just tamed it. And I just trimmed it a little bit just to get the letters down, or excuse me, the fabric down. So I'll end up going in and cleaning this up. But the name has been embroidered onto the robe really nicely. So then of course in the back, you know, you have your fabric here, and I'll tell you, anytime you're cutting your stabilizer off of your product, no matter sweatshirt, shirt, whatever it is, turn the fabric towards you so that you can have this kind of in the air like this, and then cut it so you can see what you're cutting to make sure that you're not cutting your product. I've done that as well. So that's just a little tidbit of a hint that I would give you if you're not already doing it. So I'm going to go ahead and get the second one hooped on the machine, change the name out, change the color out, because now we're going to switch colors. And then I'll hoop the next one. Then I'll start cleaning this up while they're still going. So I won't bore you with that piece of it. So I'm going to pause the video here. I'll come back when I have the rest of the two extras done, and then I can show you them all. All right, see you in a minute. Okay, so I have finished 4 out of the 5. There is one, and I'll show you in a minute, but one of the robes is a little defective. So I guess on how they either packaged it or produced the robe. It's like some ridges, and then you can kind of see through where I would be embroidering in that area. You can see through the fabric, so it's not plush in a certain area. So I'm either going to send it back. I've already ordered another one, so I'll have that in on Tuesday. But I'm either going to send it back, or I'm going to keep it, and then I can cut the material and use it for applique, right? So, you know, you've seen some of the sweatshirts with the big letters for like university logos and things like that, or names, and it's like fluffy in the middle. So I could actually, you know, use the material for that. Otherwise, I'll send it back. So I'll make my decision tonight. But anyways, I have finished. Now on this one, I will have to use a little bit. I'm going to mist it just a little bit because there are some tiny pieces of the solvay that I couldn't pick out, you know, the plastic covering. So I'll use just a little mist, a light mist, just so that it can dissolve the little intricate pieces that I couldn't get. But otherwise, it stitched out very nicely. And then, so that's one of them. This one, and his is a little larger in the name, only because his name only has 4 letters. So, but that came out really nice as well. And then of course, the last two that are in lavender. Okay, and then when I get the new one on Tuesday, that name will actually be stitched out in white. And then there's the other one that's lavender. So these are really, really nice plush robes. I did order robe boxes. So this is the depth. I just wanted to show you the depth of what they will be packaged in. So I will line it, of course, with tissue paper, make it look very nice, fold them up nice and tight, and put them into the robe boxes. And I'll write the name or put a sticker or something on it underneath the box, the bottom of it, with the person's name on the box. But that is my process for doing robes. So thank you for joining. If you have not subscribed to my channel, I would appreciate if you could. And I do a host of other type of crafts. So I do sublimation, epoxy, I sew handbags, so a lot of different things. And as you can see in here, you could probably see some of my product for other types of things that I do. So stick around, there's more to come. But again, thank you for joining me tonight with Embroidering the Robes. Have a good night. Bye-bye.